1, 2, 3, 4.
I declare a thumb war.
What?
That's all I had.
Yeah. Hey, babe.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is another episode of the podcast. We Match Now What? Abby, Kyle. Can't believe we're here right now.
Me neither. Cannot believe it.
So today is a bit of a bittersweet day for me because this is going to be for both of us because this is going to be the last day that we're filming in the condo that I currently live at, and I'll be moving out at the end of June. So this is going to be the last time we sit down at this set.
This setup, yeah.
And I'm going to try to enjoy
every moment
of it. Yeah. And we've already planned our last supper.
Yes.
Which is going to be Dave's hot chicken.
Our last supper.
Dave's hot chicken. If you haven't had it before, good golly, Miss Molly. It's great.
It's my favorite.
Oh, the seasoning is just mint.
Yes. I'm so excited. They also have a mac and cheese I really like.
Do they?
Yeah, I got it the last time. So usually I get the fries.
Oh, yeah.
But the last time I got the mac and cheese.
I remember that. Yeah. Are you going to get the mac and cheese? I'm getting the fries. I think the fries are okay.
Yeah.
I think if anything, they could improve the fries because they're just they're cool. They're crinkle fries, but they seem like they're just like McCain, frozen.
Yeah.
Not hating. McCain makes some solid frozen fries.
Yeah. It's just kind of random.
Yeah. But when your chicken is so good.
Yeah.
If you just made the fries, because you know how there's some places where the fries are why you go.
Yeah.
If you could just combine that level of fryness to.
Wait, who has the best fries in your opinion?
Ooh.
Is this Five Guys?
It might be Five Guys. Yeah. Which was so tragic because the last time we went to Five Guys, which was the first time in 2 years.
And the first time I've ever gone.
And the first time you've ever really? I forgot about that. Yeah. And I was talking to you about how, traditionally at Five Guys, at least the location that I go to, they give you an absurd amount of fries.
So I hear it's everywhere.
So it is everywhere. Gotcha.
Yeah, one of the girls at work really likes Five Guys, and so she was talking about how obscene amount of fries.
Yeah, so I always get the small.
Yeah.
Even if we're sharing, right? Get the small because they're gonna dump at least
whatever's
2 extra
left,
scoops into that brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Which
so good.
I remember one time I was with Kevin and we went to Five Guys, same location that we went to. Maybe it was at the end of this person's shift because they were feeling super generous.
Yeah.
I remember we're watching this nice young woman just piling in a couple extra scoops of fries into our bag. She looks back at us watching her load the bag. She looks in front of her to see what she has left, and she's like, "Do you guys just want the rest?" And Kevin and I were just wide eyed. We're like, "Yeah, we'll take that." That bag of fries was amazing.
Nice.
When I think about customer satisfaction when it comes to fast food places, that's at the top of my list.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I don't think I
clearly
it
left a mark. Resonated with me. It left a mark. I was good for fries. It was eating fries for the next 2 days. I'm somebody who actually really likes fries.
Yeah.
In high school, there was a fish and chips place across the street from our high school. It was a hot spot that a lot of the kids would go to. You used to be able to go there and get a plate of fries, a massive plate of fries for just under $5. It could have been cheaper than $5, but I used to get $5 a day for lunch.
Yeah.
And I'd have to make that stretch for the full day. Sometimes it was just not possible. Sometimes you get hungry in the morning and you want to grab a Jamaican beef patty from the calf before you go to second period.
Yeah.
That was a frequent occurrence.
For you?
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would only have because I think the Jamaican beef patties were $1.50. So then you have $3.50 for lunch. So I think the fries might have been $3.50, and then I would just bring my own drink.
Yeah. $3.50 for fries.
I was out here just surviving in high school. Imagine a kid going to
Kyle's
school.
realization today.
Yeah, imagine a kid going to school with a 5
today.
nowadays.
No.
You can get a drink, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm over exaggerating. You could
Well,
probably get
the problem is like you'd get a drink and you don't have enough left for anything else.
Oh my God. I just this whole conversation just sparked up the memory of Pizza Nova now, which was also like right beside our school.
Yeah. You like Pizza Nova?
Love Pizza Nova. I think as far as pizza chains go in Canada, I think that Pizza Nova is S tier.
Yeah.
Way better than Domino's. If you like Domino's, like I don't even really want to like associate myself with you.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm playing, but no, Domino's to me is.
I've had good experiences with Domino's, but I wouldn't.
It's
say
okay.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. Definitely better than Pizza Pizza.
I was gonna say the fact that you didn't say that about Pizza.
Well, that's a given. I think everybody in Canada knows that like Pizza is. You get it at 5 a.m. because it's open and you're living those degenerate hours. You know, that's when you get Pizza. Like if I'm gaming Halo until 5 a.m., Pizza was the option because it was the only option. Yeah. As far as like, you know, popular chains go, Pizzaville, any Pizzaville lovers out there? And Pizza Nova are and there's some new places. I mean, like Blaze Pizza is one.
Those are different though.
Those are different. That's a different experience.
They call those pizza bars?
Yeah. So that's where you go. We've been to a couple of them now. Yeah. We went to Pie Co.
Yeah.
And then we went to Blaze last September. But yeah, it's like a pizza bar, like you said.
Yeah.
So the format is similar to Subway, or like
Chipotle,
where like you watch them, you know, put the toppings on, and there's an array of different toppings.
There's so many. It's so good.
Somehow we got to pizza, and I'm just thinking about what this Dave's hot chicken is going to taste like later on. I mean, now that was I about to make a point? I don't even know. Oh, Pizza Nova. Yeah, I was. I got us back. Don't worry. So the Pizza Nova, 9th grade, was like the spot to go for lunch, right? And it was so good because for $4.50, it actually might have been like $3.50. I don't remember. I might have to like ask one of my high school buddies. But you could get a slice of pizza, probably only pepperoni. I think if you got deluxe or something like that, it might have been a bit more expensive.
Yeah, probably like cheese or pepperoni are there.
You get either a cheese or pepperoni pizza slice, a bag of chips, and a can of pop for like $3.50.
That's good.
I want to say $3.50. I don't think that's cap, but I'll try to ask one of my buddies.
I mean, given that it was like the early 2000s, I buy that.
This was like 2005.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
I'd buy that for $3.50.
Yeah. And then inflation.
Yeah.
And then inflation just ruined it all.
Now it's like $6.75.
I know. Right. I feel like if you're going to get a slice, a bag of chips, and a can of pop at Pizza Nova, for instance, you got to be paying close to $10, maybe even more. No?
I'd say close to 10.
Yeah.
I feel like the slice alone is like $3.50 now.
Yeah.
And then the combo. Yeah. And then plus tax.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about. Maybe the slice alone was $3.50 back then. I don't know. Anyway.
No, back then I would buy it because we also, like Zach and I also didn't have, we would get like lunch money like at the beginning of the week.
That's smart.
But it'd be like a 20. So it ends up being
so like, do you think that was strategic on your parents' part or just like convenient because you don't have to worry about them for the week? My
dad wasn't even like for buying lunch. Like he was like, take a lunch. Like, relax. My dad always wanted us to take a lunch and then, you know, it was like a cold cut sandwich and a drink.
You can only have so many cold cut sandwiches.
I know.
I remember like that's all I had in elementary school. So like grade 1 to 8. It's soul crushing.
I'm like a sauce and condiment person. Like if you switch that up, I can eat cold cuts for a long time. That's where you and I had the different experience of growing up. Like there was like only mayo and mustard in the fridge. Like that's the only options we had. My mom was like not the most adventurous when it came to cooking. Sorry, Mom. You're better now. You're definitely better now. I'm saying that about condiments. I didn't have them then. It was more of a realization now. I'm also like weird. Like I can, if I really like something, like I'll go months eating it. Months? Yeah. I'm trying to think of an example. Could you do that now? Yeah, I do it now. Like with my omelets. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. I had the same omelet for months. I mean, I would have the same breakfast for months as well. Yeah. What's another thing I used to go months eating? McDonald's. I've gone years eating that. There's something in that, though, that like makes it easy. Yeah. In the past 2 weeks, I've had McDonald's like 5 times. Maybe more. No, probably more because I recently have been doing early morning breakfast runs there. Oh. Yeah. Get the sounds like a different meal. You know what I really like about
a new addition to McDonald's, the chicken McMuffin.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it.
I've had it a couple times now. I always get it with no cheese. I just feel like
so you're not the cheese guy.
I'm not a cheese guy, and like that type of cheese with chicken, I'm like even more so against that. Like let's veto that real quick.
Like the Kraft Singles cheese.
Yeah, nah. Like get those slices out of here. Yeah, a new go-to of mine is the chicken McMuffin, 2 hash browns, and a medium dub-dub.
Dub-dub.
Yeah, dub-dub, like double-double.
Yeah.
If any Canadians, I mean, I feel like the only people watching are friends and family. Can we start a new trend among us? We're going to be ground zero for this new trend. We started it, right? Like you guys, us.
We'll do this together.
Whenever you're getting a coffee now, just short form it. Can I get a medium dub-dub? One time I think I was with Ooze.
Yeah.
And I was just like, he was driving and we went to Tim Hortons. I want to say it was Ooze. And I was like, yo, like, just say like you want a dub-dub to see if they understand. They did not understand. And he pulled the ripcord on like repeating it too. He was like, he's like, can I get a medium dub-dub? And they were like, excuse me? And then he was like, I mean, a double-double, please.
You and your shenanigans.
You got to have fun where you can find it.
Yeah.
I find it a lot of places.
Short forming things. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Og.
Yeah.
It was one that you did early on, or I heard you say early on.
Yeah. In one of my videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reed was like, oh, Kyle, press for time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, are you short forming everything?
Shout out to Reed.
That was so good.
Should we kind of circle this back here to...
Good idea. I do want to say with New York fries, though, like that's something I eat a lot and I get the same thing. The veggie fries. When I was in high school, I used to get probably like once or twice a week. No, I'm going to say once a week at most. Maybe twice a week. I don't know how often we used to go to the mall, but I would always get the butter chicken poutine there.
Never had it. Want to try it.
It's worth a shot. Okay, but that's all I want to say about food.
Okay. You sure?
I think that's all I can say today.
Okay.
Right now in this moment.
Yeah. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Okay, great question. Because I actually we're doing this new thing where I guess we talk about things that are related.
So we're kind of figuring out this whole podcast thing as we go. I mean, we have a lot of conversations off camera about how we want to improve it, taking advice from people who have watched, like our family and friends. Like maybe not so much you, but like something that I've found challenging is, when we have these like topic episodes, sometimes I'm just caught up in trying to
stay on topic and
also like provide useful information.
It just messes with the flow of our conversation. Because when we were talking about this, like, I guess like last week it was, when we were talking about it, we realized like, so when we started this podcast, it was based off of the fact that we had hour-long conversations that we thought had substance to them.
About like important topics. Yeah. Topics that like we don't see a lot of people talking about.
Yeah, covering our perspective, like the same perspective or a similar perspective that we have.
Yeah, because ultimately I think like, even prior to us dating, and obviously we've had a lot more conversations since like getting together.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things about modern dating that we just don't align with. Yeah,
and the funny thing is I mean, from the previous episodes, like you guys can tell, is like we've tried.
Oh, absolutely.
We've tried modern dating, and like obviously it wasn't rough enough for us to like not do it. Like we still went through with it, but like once we met each other, we were like, wow.
I know.
Thank God we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because the things that we disliked about, like we both disliked the same things.
Yes.
Which was like such a relief.
Like every time we would have a new conversation about something else that we didn't like about modern dating, I'd be like so excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the idea of this podcast came from, right? Because we wanted to just record these conversations where we're having these
unpopular opinions.
We're having these unpopular opinions. Maybe there's other people out there, like maybe you're somebody who's watching this right now and you resonate with some of the things that we're saying. Maybe you're somebody that doesn't, bode well in the modern dating sphere.
Yeah, like I hear so many people complaining about how much they hate dating.
Yeah.
I think it's just normalizing people do it differently. And I know there's always going to be this majority, the majority of like society is going to do it a particular way, but it's just normalizing, like it's allowing people to feel a little more comfortable doing it a way that they want to do it.
Yeah.
Like we figured out along the way. And that's the thing too, right? It's going to take, you have to date in the modern dating sphere and to learn like what you do and don't like about it. But then like just acting on the things you don't like if you don't like doing something in modern, that's very that's strongly associated with the dating game. There's ways you can figure out ways around it.
Yeah.
You just have to meet like-minded people. So I guess like that's why. So when Kyle and I first started the idea of a podcast, we essentially assumed, or we hoped that the conversation we would have would be similar to the ones we have like in private, like that we were already having. And we just find that the one topic idea can be kind of limiting.
Yeah, because that doesn't happen when we're talking on the phone or having in-person conversations. Like we're bouncing around, going off topic all the time. And I feel like, at least for me, I feel like I'm in presentation mode where
and that was another thing
I don't think I thrive in that.
That was another thing too, is that the conversation can often seem like more like formal, like a presentation, or like robotic. And again, like our conversations aren't like that, which I guess the point we're trying to make is we're trying to replicate the good conversations we've had thus far. Like we're trying to replicate that for the podcast, because that's where we think we come across the best ideas or solutions to modern dating. Or even like solutions to like things in our relationship, things that we're passionate about. We come up with like really good ideas, and we can kind of like bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah, we are good at that. There's also a lot of things that we are hesitant to talk about on the podcast because of like, I guess just what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
So like, we've talked about at some point wanting to voice our opinions, maybe on like touchier subjects. We haven't really decided yet, like how the best way to go about that is. It might just be a matter of
time,
getting comfortable with the idea of projecting these ideas or opinions, because the older I get and the more content I consume from more like intellectual content creators, right?
Yeah.
Like one that comes to mind is Jordan Peterson. If you believe in something, and if you believe that what your opinion is, or your stance is on something, or your moral center is on something would be beneficial for others to hear, you should share that, because maybe you help somebody out, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's all. I think most content creators, at least like the intellectual ones that try to form or try to create content in like an educational way. The reality is like people want to be educated on different things in different ways. And certain things like resonate with people more than others. So, I mean, I don't think limiting that is a good idea. I think like there should be.
I want to be able to live in a society where me and my neighbor have differing opinions, yet we can still coexist and have a beer together.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like that's a possibility, especially if you have different political views nowadays.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm somebody who is very open to opposing ideas.
I'm going to say I was going to say it's an age thing, but no, I don't think so. I think, it's definitely, it depends like what's motivating your opinions. I feel like if you have a lot of like passion and emotion behind your opinions, which I think everyone should to a degree, but if that's like the only thing driving your views, it can be hard to hear something else.
Nobody wants to know the why anymore, why you believe something, right? It's just, oh, you believe this, so you are now grouped in with this group of people who have been labeled some like all-encompassing term for this group. And you're just a part of that. You're not an individual anymore. Like, I don't know how we really got here. Yeah,
we've talked about it. Like, one of the things I think that perpetuates that, like being comfortable in hearing like-minded ideas is like social media, and how the algorithm like pushes content that's similar to things you're already
just
viewing.
Affirming.
Yeah. I think that's like, it's causing people, like social media does that. So you keep using the app.
Yeah.
Whatever app it is.
Somebody made a really good point. I saw it on a video where I wish I knew who it was. Whoever this person was said that social media is essentially a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
And that really hit, because it's true. The algorithm forms to your
things you're giving attention to.
Yeah. If it literally, the algorithm forms to you.
Yeah.
And what you're talking about, and what you're interested in, and what your views are, and what your morals are, and what your hobbies are. Like, it just throws it all back at you. Like, oh, you want, like, you like this, here's more of it. You have this opinion, here's affirmation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a quick experience that I had with social media is I've tried to consume content that like makes me feel better. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but I heard multiple people on social media at some point in time say something along the lines of like, if you're following someone and it's not like making you happy, or
if they're not adding any value to your life, you should unfollow.
You should unfollow. And so I did that. Like one example is like the Kardashians. Like there was literally no reason for me to follow them because I'm the kind of person who isn't like super entertained by them. So then every time, but like, I think the reason I would follow them in the first place was like they're beautiful women. And like, I was like, oh, like they have great fashion sense and their skincare tips are great because they're all beautiful and their makeup tips are great. I think that was my main interest, was like the beauty fashion industry aspect and how they're such a big part of that. Because I didn't watch the show and I don't really care for their like products personally. So I literally had no other reason to follow them. And eventually like it got to me where I was seeing them everywhere. And I was like, why are the Kardashians everywhere? And I realized like that was me. It's because I followed all of them.
Yeah.
And then I would like, things about them that I liked. And then social media would just keep like adding them. And granted, they are like still very prevalent people. They're very relevant. But once I unfollowed all of them, because again, it wasn't adding value to my life and I didn't find them entertaining, so there was no reason for me to do it. I no longer like had anything to gain from them. I also like changed my like ideas on beauty and fashion and the way the industry works anyway. So like literally wasn't gaining any value from that anymore. So I stopped following them. And slowly but surely, like they're not on like, because your feed will now like even show you people you don't follow.
Yep.
Like I get little to no Kardashian, Jenner.
Yeah. Like I don't get any of it at all. So
my favorite was when Shelby and I were hanging out here and we were talking about social media and like, prevalent like women who are influencing social media and the beauty standard. And Shelby and I were talking about like Bella Hadid and Gigi Hadid. And we asked Kyle if he knew who that was. And he was like, no. That was my favorite.
Yeah, that was good. I was
like, this is why I love him.
Yeah.
With that being said about social media, right? It's learning, like, I don't think it's a good idea to get too comfortable in that space where like you're just being reaffirmed of things that you already agree with. Like, I think it's important, again, to remove things that aren't adding value, but like still allowing opposing opinions or like differing opinions, because like that's just how it's going to make reality and life very uncomfortable. If you're just surrounded by people, I mean, because the thing is about reality and the real world is you cannot be surrounded by people who reaffirm everything you believe in.
And I feel like another problem is we live in a society where people just don't want to A, offend, or B, be offended, right?
Yeah, which is like
impossible. It's I feel like it's impossible to think that you can lead or live your life without offending anybody.
Yeah, like it just, even like unintentionally, like I offend people unintentionally.
Yeah.
Because like I would never, I personally don't want to.
No, of course. Yeah. I feel like that's usually what happens, right? Like,
but that's the thing, right? Is people get offended and they assume it was intentional.
Right.
Or I think that's common. I'm not going to say it's always the case, but one of the reasons people, I think, get so emotional is I don't know. I guess sometimes like offending someone unintentionally can be like also pretty painful, but like people assume that there was intent behind it or something, and that
as long as it's brought up in a constructive way, like I wouldn't.
Here's like, that's my 2 cents on like being offended, or is that like it's inevitable because the emotion happens. Like someone, like I'll read a differing opinion or something that contradicts my beliefs, like things I'm very passionate about. Like I'll read that and like, like I'll get angry or I'll feel an emotion. The question is just like, what are you going to do about it? The emotion, like how do you act? How does that transfer into your reality and the relationships you have with people? And I think ultimately, like that's what people
need to ask themselves.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people don't ask themselves that.
And that, like people just kind of act because
maybe they go on Twitter and just rant.
Because that's the thing I've learned,
which just makes your peers a lot of the times uncomfortable.
Yeah. You'll be reaffirmed by some people, but you're also going to polarize and like distance yourself from other people. And a lot of people on social media are like, good. Like, if you don't believe what I believe, unfollow me. If you don't like what I'm posting, unfollow me. And like, I do agree with that, like to a point. Like, there's no point in following someone or staying or interacting with someone just to hate them. I
agree.
Right? Like, I do. So I do agree with it to an extent. Like, if literally everything they say upsets you, then no need to, like, no one's going to force you to follow that. Right. But if you follow someone and you're like, oh, yeah, I like their opinion on this, or I like what they're saying about this, I like how they're contributing to this area. But like they say one thing that you don't like, right? And granted, it might be something that's like really important to you and they're contradicting it. The question is like, okay, like is everything that you thought was constructive, is it worth dismissing all of that because of the one thing, presumably the one thing that they don't agree with you on, or that they're making you question your opinion or your stance on? I think that's like the question. And like that's something I learned in school, but also like going to therapy, is that like your emotion isn't the problem.
It's your response.
It's how you act or what you do according to that emotion.
That's the one true freedom. And I did not think of this myself. I heard it again on Instagram, probably. But yeah, the one true freedom that you will always have is how you respond.
Yeah.
To any situation, you get to control how you respond. You don't get to control necessarily what happens to you all the time.
Yeah.
But you always get to control how you respond.
Yeah.
And that's an empowering realization.
I remember being taught like certain emotions weren't good. Like it wasn't good to feel an emotion. Like the obvious ones, right? Like jealousy and anger and
gluttony, greed.
Yeah. Like all like there's
the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's emotions there that like are bad to feel, is kind of how I was taught. And to be fair, like at face value, that is what it looks like. Like as being a Christian, like that's what it looks like. The Bible says is it's bad to feel the emotions. What I've realized like growing up and then, going to therapy, my counselor was also Christian. So I was really grateful to have like that kind of input on my mental health that correlated with my faith. She talked about, she's like, okay, well, if you believe in a God and you believe that God created everything, emotion's one of those. And there's a purpose to like certain emotions like anger, right? Like I learned like anger is like a great way to identify if your boundaries are being pushed. And so like anger itself, or like, so translating back to what we were talking about, being offended or angry that someone's saying something that contradicts your beliefs or what you to believe is true. The anger like exists because maybe someone's pushing your boundaries, but then you have to like rationalize it. You have to take it a step further and ask, okay, well, like, why is what they're doing pushing my boundaries? And, how am I going to react? Like, how detrimental is this to my happiness? And when you go online and you read someone who has an opposing opinion, and so, your boundary is being pushed, but then you have to ask yourself, like, what's the consequence of that? And I had to learn this for myself too. Like when because I read a lot of things online that contradicts my opinions and my values.
Most days, I would say as well. Yeah. Most days. Yeah.
Yeah. And like in terms, like, politically and like just like big picture things that are like going to have a large impact on our lives. Like they contradict the way I was raised and like what I believe in. And so, like I get offended and it pushes my boundaries, but just the content I'm reading online is there's no consequence to that. So I don't need to like, lash out or rage online. Like that's not going to do anything.
Yeah. It's a very adult way to approach this situation. It seems like a lot of people on social media are easily triggered and then quick triggered.
Yeah.
Easily triggered in the sense that they read an opposing opinion.
And it just has to be slightly opposing.
Yeah. And then they have now labeled you as a bigot or evil or what like have
hateful,
you? Hateful. Yeah.
Like, if you disagree with someone, you hate them.
Yeah. And then, quick trigger to form that opinion without any questions, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've never understood is like, how can you just formulate an opinion about a person or tack them onto a group of like radicalists, for instance, without asking more questions?
Yeah. You would think if you wanted to, put this big label on someone, you would have a lot of reason to do that.
It boggles my mind how people just don't think to dig a little deeper instead of just reading a headline and being like, oh, going to your friend and being like, did you hear? Like,
because that's the funny thing. Like, that's the media at work, right? Like the media is really only going to show the extreme or the noteworthy, the newsworthy aspects. And like, that's the thing I was always curious about was like, Kyle and I have talked about this relatively recently, but, like we were taught in school that like to look out for biases in like the media. And the funny thing is that like I remember doing actual activities of where we would take like a newspaper clip or like a web page article about something and we would write why we thought it was biased. And the funny thing is you come into the real world and it's like, oh, well, the media is our only source. So I guess we pretend it's not biased anymore. Like it definitely is.
Yeah.
It's a business. Like they want to make money. So what they're going to and I'm not saying it's like all bad or whatever. Like it is a source of information. It's just take it with a grain of salt. Because like at the end of the day, my personal belief is that the media is going to do what makes them money, especially the big ones.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially the big ones.
They've literally cracked the code. They've found the formula that generates income, and that's controversies.
I mean, in our generation, it's like clickbait. Yeah.
Yep.
Sound bites. Like taking things out of context. Right. You'll have like a whole interview, but then the headline will be this like one random thing that can out of context sounds terrible. Omitting
real news and opting for celebrity gossip.
Mm-hmm. Like
it annoys me.
Like, I'm going to say like the big media outlets, I don't, again, take that with a grain of salt, but there's obviously like smaller media outlets and journalism where people do actually care about spreading the truth, or at least
there
like,
are.
And like they're like spreading a story, like an actual story with truth behind it. I just think it's the smaller ones. I don't think it's the bigger ones that care about that anymore.
I hope that we move toward, more people, because I think that's what it is. Like smaller organizations and journalists, stepping up and actually covering important stories that people need to hear without clickbaity headlines, without bias.
But the reality of it is those, if you're not going to be clickbaity and if you're not going to chase
the hot
money instead of the truth, you're probably never going to be that big.
But like that's what I mean. That shouldn't be the goal. Being big shouldn't be the goal. I feel like if you're getting into journalism, I would assume that you have a passion for, getting the story, getting important,
the real story,
important stories that society should know about or possibly benefit off of, getting the information that people need.
Veering back to the idea of being offended, I guess like something that I wanted to relate that to us or like relationships, because it's important. Earlier when I said that people shouldn't try to avoid conflict because it's impossible, the one area that's like really, again, impossible to avoid is in a relationship.
Yeah.
And like dating. Like I think dating is an area where people nowadays have very little tolerance for someone behaving or acting in a way that isn't ideal. Like it's not like for example, like I'll use myself for example. It's like if I went out dating and I had a very clear idea as to what I wanted a guy to do, if he didn't do that to a T, there's very little room for compromise or for, I guess the reality of the situation is that guy's probably just going to do what he was going to do in that situation. He doesn't know what I want. I learned from a very young age, I've had to adapt to my environment, because either like I was in a room full of people who didn't share my religious beliefs, or I was in a room full of people who didn't understand my cultural background, or I was in a room full of people who didn't understand what comes across, like, being a woman is different, right? Like I've never really been in a place where someone has fit like my expectations to a T, which is fair. Like I think that's the story of it with almost everybody. But I learned to adapt fairly early in life, I think, because of that. And I think that was a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're wise beyond your years.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite things about myself. If I'm being honest, like it's in some way, like I think I've definitely like improved upon it. Like when I was a teenager, I probably did it to a point where I was a pushover. Like I've never really compromised on my religious beliefs, but maybe more so on my conservative beliefs.
Yeah.
Like I've compromised those to kind of fit in or be a little more flexible. I've definitely, the older I get, the more I learn to adapt, but not to compromise. Things are important to me.
Yeah.
You just compromise in the places where, you would prefer things to be a certain way, but they're not going to be, and you can live with that.
Yeah.
When I first considered being in a relationship, this was back when I probably thought I wanted to get an arranged marriage. I used to think that because I thought being with someone who, like, that obviously meant I would marry someone who is like probably Pakistani like myself, or at the very least like Pakistani Indian, like South Asian, like someone who would understand my culture.
Yeah.
That was like, it seemed really hard for me at the time when I was probably like 16, 17 at this point. It seemed really hard for me to bring in someone who didn't understand the culture and kind of have to let them adapt. Like, I thought there was going to be a lot of conflict because of that. Or just a lot of discomfort. Like, it wasn't going to be comfortable to do that. I preferred the idea of being in a relationship with someone who was very similar to me because I thought that would minimize conflict. I thought that we would, you know, have a lot of the same ideas and opinions. We would understand each other's families better. Like, I thought that was just the easier way to, there was just less environmental differences to impact like the idea of us building a relationship together.
Right.
But then the older I got, the more I just realized, I don't, like, if I'm being like a Christian first, then I really don't resonate with my culture in the way I once thought I did.
Right.
Like, the more you learn about your religion, the more you learn about your culture, like, or at least in my case, when I learned more about my religion and more about my culture, I realized they don't always align because my culture is actually based on like another religion.
Yes.
So they didn't really align. So I actually realized that I'd probably be fairly happy with, like, without the pressure of maintaining my culture. Like, if I maintained cultural aspects that I grew up with because I want to, that's different. Like, I do like that. I love the food and I love the clothes. I love the music. That comes with my culture. So like, there are parts of it that I like voluntarily keep in my life. Like, I have a Desi playlist. I listen to that like on the regular. That's the Bollywood tracks that I listen to for those for further explanation. Yeah, and like my mom still cooks like, you know, Pakistani meals at home, and I actually gained a new appreciation.
I'm so thankful for. Your mom.
I gained appreciation
her cooking
for
is
them
just
again.
Chef's kiss.
My mom used to joke. I don't know if I told you this. I think I must have. But my mom used to joke. She was like, I was cooking food and like no one appreciated it anymore because like, we've been having it for over 27 years. But and then my dad even more so. So like, she was like, no one appreciates my cooking anymore. And then that's why like God sent us Kyle. That is the gift you gave my mom, is someone to appreciate.
That makes me really happy because there were times earlier on where, you know, you would ask me or your mom would ask me directly if I wanted food. Mm-hmm. And at first I was always like hesitant because I felt like it was like, oh, I don't want to like, you know, impose, or I don't want you to like, you know, have to spend time on, I'm somebody who like, you know, I just like, I don't want like too much. I don't always like too much attention. Mm-hmm. If you have time, you know, but now that I have that extra context, and I've had that context for a little bit now. Whenever your mom asks, I'm like, yeah, sure thing. I'm always down for
I remember
the goodies.
When my mom when she would make something, so it like two things would happen. Either one, she would make something that she doesn't make very often. And then she was like, do you think Kyle would like this? That's like one scenario. Or another scenario is like, I'd already asked. I was like, hey, do you want, like, my mom's cooking, like, do you want like food? And you'd say, yeah. And she was like, okay, well, like, we should make him something different. Like, what hasn't he had yet? Like, it was really cute. Like and I, like I was saying, I gained a new appreciation for it too.
Yeah.
Like watching you eat it and like it, I was like, it just brought me back. I was like, yeah, I'm actually really grateful. Like, I really liked.
Yes.
I didn't like it as a kid because it was too spicy. But once I developed the palate for it, like, I do like my mom's cooking.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's gotten to the point now where whenever you or your mom asks me, I light up. Like, I'm just beaming. I'm like, yes, I'm going to be eating good for the next couple of days.
But so what I learned growing up is that I don't mind I didn't mind the idea of being in a relationship with someone who was different.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it could be.
I think it's fun. I really do.
Yeah. I think there's pros and cons to both. I just think I personally didn't care.
Yes.
If, for example, like my mom calls you beta, because that's like,
I love it.
That's like what you call kids.
Yeah.
It's just like kid. So like she calls you that, like, and I had to explain that to you, right? Like, this is a very mild example, but I had to explain that to you. Like, whereas if I dated a brown guy, like, I wouldn't have to explain that to him.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's a cute little moment.
Yeah. So like, I'm like, those were my differences, right? It's like, I could date a brown guy who, like, I don't have to explain things that my mom says, or I could date anyone else. And like the slight inconvenience of having to explain things, like, that's not it.
But do you think it's an inconvenience, or do you think, like, with explaining things and also seeing how much I enjoy the food, where, you know, you've had it your whole life, so you don't have that same appreciation for it. Do you think that makes you appreciate the culture in a different way? Because now you get to like bring it to somebody new for the first time and see them react to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I say, your inconvenience is the wrong word. It's just like an extra step. But you're right. Like there is a benefit to it because you do get to see teaching it to someone gives you a new perspective. And that's true on like so many things.
Yeah.
Like they say when like you're like as a study method, so like if you're trying to study a topic, like try to explain it to someone like you're teaching them about it.
Yeah.
And like once you can do that, like you fully understand the concept. So yeah, like having to explain it to you makes me see it in a different way.
Yeah. I started watching Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
A Disney Plus Marvel show. I was going to probably watch it anyway, but I was kind of a bit extra excited to watch it because it was going to give me a bit more like cultural context.
Yeah.
Which it has. And you know, the parents always call the kids like beta in the show. And like every time they do that, I'm like, I know what that means.
So yeah, I think like being different or having differing views or opinions, like, is again, like it seems quote unquote harder than the alternative of being with someone who has the same views and opinions. But in reality, like you're like no two people are the same. No two people are ever going to have the same opinions and values about everything.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, I don't know what we talked about.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to call this episode, but I felt like it went well. I liked it. Yeah, I think we hit some really good points. We did. Thanks for watching.
Yeah,
we really appreciate it. Again, like I'm going to tell you, hit the like button because it just lets us know if you like what you're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And remember that comment section's open.
Oh yeah, please ask us questions. Like we'd love to answer.
Give us suggestions for things you want to hear us talk about, or any targeted questions. Even.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we love your socks.
Yes, we do.
And we'll see you next time.
We're gonna go eat some Dave's Hot Chicken now.
I'm so excited.
Okay.
Ciao.